Hello, happy Friday, and welcome to yet another episode of Indie Music Gems. If you're new here, the concept's pretty straightforward. I spent the past week listening to a bunch of independently produced music that was posted over to the IndieMusicFeedback community on Reddit, and I've come back with a handful of songs that I think you should be listening to. This past week was pretty strong. I came across a couple tracks that really blew me away, so I'm pretty excited to share these today. The links for all these tracks that I mentioned will be down in the description below, as well as a Spotify playlist with all of the indie music gems of August. So before I bore you with all the details, let's get started talking about some music. Starting off with what may be the first instrumental track that I've had on the show, Blossom by Garden, that's Garden with two R's, is a pretty fun ambient electronic piece. I really love the piano chops in this one, and the drums are super well done with lots of interesting percussive elements scattered throughout the beat. The vocal hooks and one-shots fit into the track nicely with the synths. Everything just kind of melts together really well. I like how it doesn't really overstay its welcome. It goes through a couple transitions, a couple cool ideas, and then wraps up pretty nicely. I definitely recommend that you give this one a listen. Moving right along, we have The Arches of Your Chest by Frida Beast off of their album Rich. I really like how this track was able to change up the instrumentals a lot while keeping the vocal elements fairly consistent. I was pretty curious about where the track was going next when I first listened. The song moves from the spacey and trippy beginning with a bunch of fun textures in the drums to this sort of upbeat electronic piece, which I felt was actually a pretty natural transition. The song overall has a really nice polish to it, so give this one a listen. Next up we have Better With You by Texan and Tilly, a folksy duet that's quite minimal, but is very impressive how full and warm they're able to get the track to sound with just a guitar, a piano, and their voices. The acoustic guitar in this track is actually one of my favorites in a while. It was just played so cleanly and recorded so well, and the piano adds kind of a nice break in between the vocal harmonies that they do. While this isn't typically the type of music that I listen to, I was pretty drawn into it, and I think that you may be too, so give it a shot. Let me know what you think. As always, the link for this song and the others are down in the description below. Moving on to what may have been my favorite track of the week, Drifting Away by Buffalo Boy. This one comes in quick with a super fast drum beat that builds the energy of the track right away and carries the listener forward. On top of this, he adds one of the coolest sounding guitar melodies and some super spacey sounding vocals and vocal harmonies that contrast nicely with the really energetic drums. The song concludes in this awesome ambient breakdown and a really epic guitar solo, so check this one out for sure. I don't think you'll be sorry if you do. Last but certainly not least, we have Let's Go Driving by Nylophone. This dream pop song has some really fun vocals. He kind of changes up his style quite a bit and some perfectly laid down vocal harmonies. The backing track itself is quite simple, but it was polished, it wasn't boring, and it got out of the way of the vocals, so I thought it was a pretty good move. The arrangement was pretty perfect, and there was a ton of fun ear candy like flutes and tambourines sprinkled throughout the song, which gave it a really professional sounding feel. I'd highly recommend you check this one out. Give it a listen. That about does it for this week's Indie Music Gems. Give these tracks a listen. Let me know if you found anything new that you love. Just wanted to give a quick thank you for all of your support so far. If you want to check out some of the other things I'm up to, I've left the links to my Spotify and my Twitter down in the description below. Would love if you check those out as well. Hope to see you guys again next week with some more new awesome music. Have a good one.